Most of you know in the last week we've had intensive bargaining that's featured the federal mediator from Washington, D.C., and the last bargaining session we had was a marathon. It was 28, almost 30 hours of bargaining. We really thought we were going to reach an agreement. The union had moved a lot off of positions on economic issues. We had moved to BART's position on pension. We had moved to BART's position, we'd moved to BART's position on health care cost. We'd agreed to lower our request for a wage increase. Progress was being made. We were substantially close to reaching an agreement. But in the last minutes, in the last part of the bargaining, BART sort of did what we call a switch. They came up with a poison pill to say, yes, we've reached in concept agreement on economics, which were the main issues earlier that BART was focusing on and we were focusing on. But now we have to change your contract, we have to change work rules, and we need substantive changes that affect the daily work of the workers before we can get an agreement with you. And at that point, the bargaining broke down. These work rules protect workers. If you work at any job and you work a shift, there's usually language about what shifts you work and how that work is done. There is language to protect you in situations of how work is assigned, to protect people around health and safety, around preventing sexual harassment, nepotism, favoritism, and past practices to ensure that that happens. BART completely wanted to dismantle that. Any discussion about pay stubs or electronic devices or anything were never mentioned at the table and are not obstacles in this bargaining. And quite frankly, we have no idea what the general manager is talking about and referring to that. So basically what management did was produce, in essence, a poison pill saying, great, we've made this amazing progress after 6 months. We have an economic framework agreement, but wait, there's more to all the workers. You must take this now. And at that point, they forced everyone out the door. The negotiations broke down. So the blame for this process lies squarely at the feet of the BART district, Tom Radulovich, Grace Kernigan, and their hired union consultant, Thomas Hawk, who many of you have looked at his background and realized that he specializes in causing transportation unions to go out on strike. We're open at any time to talk to the district. Word had gone around that they were trying to contact us. Other than sleeping when we can, no one's phone has rang, no one's received a call from the district, Grace Kernigan, or anyone else involved in the process. This is an absolute failure of the BART district in dealing with us on these issues. The district directors have been absent, other than Tom Radulovich coming out and making a statement occasionally, and the general manager, who was president of negotiations, allowed this process to fall. We're very sorry. We understand that this strike, what it does to the Bay Area riders, and we understand that it is a hardship. Our union represents thousands of folks. A lot of them are riders, and we know that this process is difficult and hard. And we apologize, and we urge the public to contact the BART district and tell them to finish negotiating a fair deal with our union, because we want to sign a contract, workers want to go back to work, and we want everyone to be able to get on with their lives. But understand that this was a last-minute effort by the district to reach and get more than was ever discussed at the bargaining table.
Can you explain work rules a little bit more and why they are so important?
Well, depending on what your job is at BART, and really for workers, not just at BART, but everywhere, what is your shift? Health and safety issues. What is your assignment? What is your job for that day? Maybe you have a specialization in one area and you're asked to move to an area that you don't. There are rules in a contract that help decide how that's done, and do people have adequate training, you know, and fairness issue. I mean, one thing they put on the table was they wanted people to work 10-hour shifts at their own desire at any point, at any time, which affects normal people's lives. Not that people can't work that shift, but the contract offers a framework, and how is that done? How is that, do you sign up for it? Is it seniority? So the thing that was amazing is they put these issues on the table, but for 6 months we were never told these were primary issues. We reach an economic framework. We move to their direction on pension. We move to their direction on health care. We lowered our wage proposal, and then all of a sudden these issues that weren't discussed at the table are deal breakers by the district. We see it essentially as an effort to jam the unions and do exactly what they've done, which is force us out on strike.
Now, the board has offered to take both proposals, the board's proposal and the union's proposal, to an arbitrator. Why have you said no to that?
Okay, that's a good question, because we've spent 6 months working on that economic framework, so we have an agreement. So in other words, if the district and the unions, the two major unions, have an economic agreement, we don't need to renegotiate that.
But you don't have a full agreement, and that's what we need.
I'm going to finish. A full agreement. So what we proposed was on these work rule issues, which is a modification of the contract they wanted, we would agree to interest-based arbitration on those limited issues. We thought that's logical. Because if you just said, the district says, well, let's just arbitrate everything, we're back to square one. There's no deal either. So why not have a deal and grasp on economics, have that framework done, which it is, finish the outlying issues through interest-based arbitration. They make their case, we make our case. Let's not stop the trains, and let's get a full agreement. But the BART management has turned that upside down, refused to go on with what we thought was a logical process. We didn't want to stop the trains. We wanted to go to interest-based arbitration on outlying issues. But once again, they're muddying the picture by going, well, let's just throw everything in arbitration. Let's throw 6 months of bargaining out the window and start again, which doesn't give the Bay Area an agreement or any safety or assurance as well. So understand the manipulations that they're doing at the advice of Thomas Hawk, who is someone who has caused strikes in his previous role with Veolia Transportation as a consultant, and understand the game that is afoot by the BART district, not the unions.
Are you reaching out to any state legislators to try to maybe get some compulsory arbitration on those issues?
Very much, very much. We're enlisting, and we have, and if you probably saw, you saw yourselves during the bargaining process, the intense bargaining process of the last few days, we have enlisted up to the lieutenant governor's level assistance in helping facilitate a process that would get us a deal and urge BART to do this. I mean, quite honestly, we're on the verge of with the problems we have now. I've been doing this 25 years as a labor organizer, as a leader of a union. I have never seen a process like this in my life. And I actually question the ability of Grace Kernigan in the district to understand how to get a collective bargaining agreement. I question their actual skill and intention.
So what is it going to take to solve this right now?
Okay, I'll only take a couple more questions. We want to immediately have them agree on the framework of a complete agreement, including economics. Realize economics is done. We sat here and listened. The union needs to move on pension. The union needs to move on health care. The union needs to lower wage proposals, and we did it. We did it. And now at the last minute, they're changing it up and giving us a poison pill and going, wait a minute, we appreciate that, but now you have to take this. So if they will immediately enter or agree to enter into interest-based arbitration on the remaining language issues that we sort of broke off in the end, we would be willing to take that package back to vote to our membership, stop the strike, and go back to work. Thank you.